Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing? Happy New Year. I haven't seen you yet this year. It's great to be here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles, in our digital space. Hope you all are staying out of the wind. But just want to kick off the service this morning with some good vibes. This song is called Have It All. May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in being generous, sharing what you hear, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. And may you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. Here's to the lives that you're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. Want you to have it all. Oh, want you to have it all. Want you to have it. Want you to have it all. May you be as fascinating as a slap bracelet. May you keep the chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress. Having no possessions, though immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May your educated guesses always be correct. May you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment to the next. May the rest of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. And here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. Want you to have it all. Oh, I want you to have it all. Want you to have it. Want you to have it all. Said, want you to have it. Want you to have it all. Want you to have it all.
Good morning, James Harper.
Good morning, Keith. How's it going?
It's going fantastic. Happy Sunday, Donald James Harper.
Happy Sunday.
What a great way to welcome in our morning.
Thank you.
Through that great Jason Mraz song that speaks to celebrating the possibilities of life.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and celebrating what we have and what's right in front of us.
Exactly. Turning possibilities into realities. And we do that here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles through our spiritual awakening. And that means that we open up to the divine that exists within us already. That spark of light, like it's over my upper, being right shoulder, for me, left shoulder on camera, right?
Well, would you look at that?
Look at that. It's the divine speaking to us. So what a pleasure to have you here today, and welcome back, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Always a pleasure to be here, man.
It's always so wonderful to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this time with you together. And my heart is a little sad that we couldn't do it in person as we had planned for that happening today, but may we be open to the good that exists in the world today, right?
Amen to that. Yeah, no, I'm definitely bummed I couldn't see everyone, but it's, still happy to be here and celebrating being together digitally.
Right, and we'll see each other when the time is right, in person, right?
Yes.
Well, everyone, let's welcome Donald James Harper as our musical guest today. He's got beautiful music planned for us today, as he always does, sharing his heart, his soul, and his talent with us. And he'll be back with us in just a moment. So see you in a bit, James.
See you soon.
And a good morning to each and every one of you. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and my title is the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. And I welcome you, as James did, into our virtual space. If you're joining us today through Zoom and or Facebook and or YouTube at a later date, know that just exactly where you are in this very moment, you are the perfection and the wholeness and the completeness of the divine. And we come together in this time today to celebrate that uniqueness that is you. One of my favorite quotes of Ernest Holmes of all times is, "Spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you." This week I spoke with several different people as we were talking in the context of celebrating Ernest Holmes' birthday, the founder of the teachings of the science of mind, who would have been 135 if he was still walking this earthly plane. And what a blessing that we all have had in the opportunity of communing and getting to know the philosophy, faith, and way of life known as the science of mind. Today I invite you to settle into your location wherever it may be, unless you're driving an automobile, and then pay attention to where you're going, but listen intently and open yourself up to an opportunity to hear something new today. Even if you hear information that you've heard before, to hear it from a state of renewal, in a state of being anew, in a state of receptivity as the light of the divine makes itself known to and through each and every one of us today. Let's all trust and believe that we've come together in this environment today by what's called divine appointment, meaning that there's a higher idea that is being called forth from within us individually and collectively for our purpose in being here today. And so I welcome you into this space. I'm going to put on the screen our slides for today. Today will be a slide-oriented day, and I'm excited to share for us all in this realm. We are the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and our vision statement is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. I speak of that spiritual awakening happening for all of us today. Let's take a moment and welcome each other into this virtual space. You'll see on the screen a beloved expression of light with her hands in prayer position, or their hands in prayer position. It's really not up to me to assign gender for this beloved individual. But this divine light of being has their hands in prayer position, moving into the act of namaste. Namaste is a Sanskrit word, and its most literal translation meaning I bow to you. In its more modern day translation, it means I honor the light within me that is within you as you honor and acknowledge the light that is within me. I invite each of us to place our hands together today as we welcome in this light, this power, this being of life, the thing itself, Ernest Holmes calls it, and bend forward and bow to each other as an acknowledgement of the light and as an acknowledgement of welcoming in the power itself, saying together Namaste. As stated before, we are a community that has come together now for a while, 30 plus years, and now 2 years online. And that will change in time, I trust you. And please remember that things do change, and we will be there when the time is right to see each other face to face again. But as a community, we welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origins, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities. For we stand with you hand to hand, heart to heart, soul to soul, making sure that wherever you are, that we can connect to you in that depth of mind, that depth of consciousness, that we honor you just as you are, and want you to know that just as you are safe here in the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And so we welcome one and we welcome all into our virtual space. As a community, we practice and teach the philosophy, faith, and way of life, primarily known as the science of mind. The essence and the core of this teaching is that there's one activity taking place. It's called the one mind making itself known. It's one energy, one life that expresses itself as it individualizes itself by means of you and by means of me. Today I'm going to cover chapter 3 of the book, What It Does, so that we can garner a greater understanding of how this power works as a universal principle, as well as how it works and responds to and through each and every one of us. We know that that's the case because we practice tuning our mind to a higher vibrational frequency, to aligning ourselves to our divine nature, and then trusting and knowing that we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law. What that means is that it responds to us by corresponding. You'll hear more about that later in our service. But what that also means for us is we have the opportunity to participate in the co-creation of the experience that we desire to have, both individually and collectively. And we get to do that by paying attention to how we think, believe, act, react, and interact with the world itself, the universe itself. And so then, we come together to support our vision statement of supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today, let's all open ourselves up to do that anew, to be in a state of gratitude for the opportunity to be able to come together no matter what the forum or format is. And so let's just remember there's one mind, one life. You are that mind, you are that life. It's expressing itself in all of its magnificence and all of its glory by means of you and by means of me. And so we move into the next aspect of our service today called our morning ritual. It's called calling in the light. It's just a reinforcement, a continuation of what I've already spoken of. Light, as defined by Dr. Ernest Holmes, is this. In flashes of illuminations, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality and have brought back with them a distinct impression of what they've seen and felt. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with a flood of light. I invite each of us to take a moment and remember any time in our life when we have had that glimpse of reality, of the totality of the wholeness of life itself. And let that be the basis, the foundation from where we grow and open to that next experience and expression of the light itself. For we celebrate today the opportunity to be here today and participate in this ritual called calling in the light. By opening ourselves up to a greater understanding of the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence which we call spirit. I love this graphic on the screen because it shows us as we open up the light of the universe, as it moves through the universe itself, makes itself known to you and I as we open up and raise our vibrational frequency. And so we perform this ritual today with the purpose to draw into our gathering a conscious awareness of our oneness. And as a remembrance that the light of the divine exists in and all sentient beings. As we call forth a greater awareness of this light, let's also call it and label it and assign it the light, the healing light of the divine. I invite you to take a moment and think of anyone that you would like to put into the healing light of the divine. I'd like to honor the great Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen Buddhist master who passed on this week, in deep appreciation for all that he shared with us while walking this earth, and may he continue to shine that light. Last week we brought into the light the mother of Dan Turman, who was making her transition, who did so this morning. Let's bring Dan and his family into this light, this healing light of the divine. And let's each bring into our awareness any and all that we would like to have experienced the eternal and the everlasting love of the divine through this healing light. The prayer that I have for us today is this. Through affirmation, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us, for wherever we are, God, that infinite, impersonal, all-pervasive power, is where we are, and all is well. As we let that wash over us, let's prepare to sing our song to further anchor this spiritual truth, this act of ritual, this healing act into our being, as James will come onto the screen and guide us through the song Calling in the Light.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Repeat after me. I am love, I am peace in my heart, I am free, I am spirit, I am soul, all together we are home. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Said calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
So it is. Yes, let's just allow that energy to be present within us. And so it is. I loved the last little twinkle that you did on the guitar strings there at the end. Ding, ding, ding. I love it. It was so wonderful.
You gotta
Give
call
us
in
a
the
little, just a little twinkle twinkle for us with our light while it's out. A little twinkle in the light for
I
us.
was inspired by that little speck of light
A
you
little
had there.
twinkle of light over there that's now moved up about right here. Good. So, James, I know that we talked about prior to today's song selections for the theme for our month, which is a new year, a new thought, a new you, right? And so the first song by Jason Mraz was fantastic. And so what is the next song that you're going to sing for us to continue our opening up?
So I often I'm an overthinker and an over worrier.
You're going to love my message later then.
It's always lines up. And I was thinking about even what you said a little bit earlier. Those thoughts tend to enter when I am so inward focused and only on my light and not focused on everyone else and how everyone else's light is emanating and the beauty of it, and just getting outside of myself. And in those moments, I can take the Beatles' advice a little bit better and sometimes just let it be.
All right.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, oh, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living this world agree there will be an answer. Let it be. And though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. Yeah. See until tomorrow. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Oh, let it be. Shine until tomorrow. Let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. Wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Oh, let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be. Won't you shine until tomorrow? Let it be. Speaking words of wisdom. Let it be.
Oh, so lovely and beautiful and inspirational.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you. I just listened. I heeded my own instruction and advice and listened to those words from a new perspective. And I love how it talks about there is an answer. Settle in, let it be, allow the influx of the divine to do its thing through us. And then that there's wisdom. Of course, there's wisdom.
Yeah.
We're each imbued with wisdom. That's one of the 8 qualities of the divine, according to metaphysics. So.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe we're not seeing the answer right now, but sitting in it and letting it come to us and embracing the divine, we
Well,
might
the
get
great
there.
Ernest Holmes, wherever he may be walking, says that healing is revealing. And we're all on a pathway of healing, meaning that we're here to reveal our divinity. And we oftentimes let our humanity overpower that. And so,
I feel that. I like that a lot.
good. Well, thank you. Well, sit back, relax. You can take your guitar off for a little while, and let me serenade you with words and visual inspiration.
Oof, bring it on. Let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, so I'm going to throw into the screen our slides for today. As I said, it will be an animated slide day, and I love these days, as you can tell from my preparation for it. As we move into the 3rd chapter of the book, which is a foundational tool in the teachings at the Centers for Spiritual Living and Churches of Religious Science and various metaphysical environments, to look at the first 4 chapters of the book, The Science of Mind. It's considered the handbook, if you will, the manual, if you will, the book for understanding metaphysics, certainly in the mid part of the 20th century. It is for most of us on this broadcast today that came here specifically and have for years, is because of these teachings of Ernest Holmes and the way that they have been presented and interpreted through individuals such as myself, as well as many of you. I know that many of you have heard the components of this chapter, what it does, that builds off the first chapter, the thing itself, which then built onto the second, which was the way it works. The third being what it does, and the fourth next week will conclude with how to use it. Today, I want us to begin to build on an understanding of the thing itself and the way it works within us on what it does. And so let's dive into that. The Science of Mind, a philosophy, faith, and way of life. What it does. It says in this chapter the following: all invention, art, literature, government, law, and wisdom that has come to the race, meaning all of humanity, to life itself, has been given to it through those who have deeply penetrated the secrets of nature and the mind of God. Now, God in this philosophy, faith, and way of life, as I said earlier, is an impersonal, infinite power that exists everywhere. It's universal. It is the very thing that created us. And why did that just resume the share? That happened. Hold on. This damn, excuse me. All of a sudden, it wants to update my Adobe, like of all times, right? God, why Adobe, right? But the mind of God is that impersonal, infinite, all creative power that expresses itself through you and I. We are expressions of it, as it is the totality of everything in the universe. And so let's hear anew that even Adobe is part of that has come to us by our opening up to the mind of God, this intelligence and wisdom. But let's think about this all invention, the very tools that we're using today to be able to communicate and see each other. Art. You'll get to experience digital art in just a moment. Literature, the book, The Science of Mind, among many other books. Government. Many would say that the very physical government that's in the United States of America is quite challenged and not working so well. Law. Both in the sense of law from a societal perspective, but as well as the law of the universe. And wisdom. Let's just take a moment and honor the wisdom that was expressed through the Beatles, that was then expressed through Donald James Harper. All of this has come to us, the human race, the sentient beings of the universe. It's come to us, it's been given to us who've deeply penetrated the secrets of nature. It means that we've opened ourselves up to the nature of nature and the mind of God. It goes on here to say, if I can get it to work, perhaps the simplest way to state the proposition is to say that we are surrounded by a mind or intelligence that knows everything, that the potential knowledge of all things and wisdom coexist in the mind of the universe, that we also exist in it and may draw from it. That we may draw from it because we are one with it and as it. Ernest goes on to tell us that what we draw from it, we must draw through the channel of our own minds. Now take that in again. For us to draw into all of this art, literature, the wisdom, all of the multitudes of the good that exist in the universe has been part of our evolution in expressing the very thing itself. We must draw it into ourselves through the channel of our own minds. And I use this external as an understanding, as a visual aid, but the reality is, from our spiritual philosophy, faith, and way of life, and the way to teach it, is that it's being drawn from the inside out, not the outside in. The channel of our own minds. Once again, an illustration that I used earlier was that once we open up, as Ernest says, to allow the nature of nature to penetrate our mind, then that light of the divine shows up. Today, I invite you and encourage you to open up to the very light of the divine, your expression of the mind of God, the wisdom to let itself be known to you, as it shows on the right side of the screen, that it is an inside job from the inside out, while at the same time, because it's infinite, it is also from the outside in. He goes on to tell us in this chapter the following. Spirit, this light itself, responds to us by corresponding to our states of thought. That we enter into this spirit in such a degree that we comprehend it, which, by the way, our objective is to consciously be comprehending it more and more and more at a higher and higher vibrational frequency. And we do that by going deeper and deeper into our soul and allowing it to make itself known to us in a greater way. He goes on to tell us that it then enters into us through correspondence in such a degree as we comprehend it, that prayer, communion with spirit, and meditation or contemplation are for the purpose of unifying our minds with the universal mind, opening up the avenues of our thought to a greater influx. Now, I remind you, this book was written in 1920, published in 1926, and therefore some of the language may be different than we use today. But in its most descriptive nature, it's telling us that as we choose to commune with that which is the spiritual truth of the universe, of the mind of God, the oneness of God, with whom it expresses itself by means of all of us, and its qualities, as you know I love to say, are peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom. And as we align ourselves with those and open up our avenues of thought to be influxed by those, then we'll experience more of the thing itself. And great tools to do that, Ernest tells us, is through prayer, communion with the Spirit, by aligning ourselves with that, listening to music, meditation, or simply just contemplating it. And we do that once again by opening ourselves up purposefully and intentionally. And each experience, even though it looks on the screen to be the same for all of us, it will be different because we're all different expressions of the thing itself. This power spirit, he tells us, is ever ready, ever waiting. As I said the last 2 weeks, and Dr. Sue and I talked about last week of it laying in smiling repose. That's what he's talking about here, is that it's ever ready, ever waiting, because its nature is to incarnate. The greater our receptivity and comprehension, the more complete its flow. Meaning that as we open up to it, then there are no obstructions, hence the term, the more complete its flow. The universe is not only a spiritual system, it's an orderly system, and we are living under a government of law, always, whether we deal with the soul, the body, or spirit, whether we're dealing with physics or metaphysics. And so today, I invite us all to open up to spirit in a new way. It's there, it's always been there. And whether we see spirit through this modern day understanding of it moving through our physical being, aligning with each of our chakras, or we still hang on to some old vestige from an old ideology of it being a dove flying through the sky. Think about it, oftentimes in memorial services when someone passes away, they capture a frickin' dove and put it in a crate and let it free to be symbolic of the spirit moving back to its creator, to moving on to its next expression. Or whether spirit is making itself known by means of a bucking bronco, an animated cartoon through Disney, or not, or you or me. I love this last graphic because it reminds us not only of the fun that's important to have when speaking of spirit, but also about this boundless amount of wild energy that's within us. It's not looking to be tamed per se, but looking to be used in a way to channel its energy in a way that when it's then expressed back out, it's done so in a way that will carry us into a greater expression of who we are as that journey itself reflects our divine nature. Today, as we begin to look more and more at what it does, it's important for us to understand what it, spirit, is within us that's calling to be expressed in a greater way. Dr. Holmes defines the spirit as God, with whom all spirits exist. It's the self-knowing one, the conscious universe, the absolute. It's spirit in the human that is part of them, which enables them to know themselves. Even if we were to just pick one aspect of that definition and begin to tune into it more and more and more today, we would allow ourselves to experience more and more of the spirit within. Because remember, its nature is to incarnate through us. And as we align with it, our experience then will be more and more of the very thing that we align with. And so whether that's the aspect of God, with whom all spirits exist, is how you see the spirit within you, or the self-knowing one, that element and aspect of us that allows us to have the wisdom express itself through us, or the conscious universe for us to use it in a way to understand that there is an awakened power that is happening at all times in and as life, or the absolute, the very part of life itself that's unchangeable, unalterable, that which is the creative force itself. Or just simply to remember that the spirit in us as the human is the part of us that enables us to know ourselves, both at that human level and our divine level. Why is that the case? Because we live in a universe that's governed by spiritual law, and Holmes goes on to tell us in this part of the chapter that the law itself is subject to spirit. One in all of those definitions, which doesn't mean that spirit is capricious, meaning ornery, and may create a law, only break it, but it does mean that the law is subject to spirit in that the law is spirit's servant. Just as all the laws of nature are our servants and obey us insofar as we understand them and properly use them. Spirit, being omniscient, understands and properly uses law. I love this paragraph and this sentence following it, and that it gives us a visual to understand that the law itself responds to us, as he said earlier, by corresponding. That's what he means by it's subject to this essence of life that exists within us. And it responds to us as individualized expressions of the divine because spirit has incarnated in us. If it had not, we would just simply be a body, and it wouldn't respond to that other than the law of nature doing its part through the degradation of the physical. Spirit, how are we using it today? He goes on to tell us then, as our greater understanding and acceptance of spirit, that thing within us and what it does, it never contradicts its own nature. It's always, always, always harmonious. It's complete within itself. It exists in a state of perpetual bliss and always acts in accord with the law of its own being. What if we were to get nothing else but this today? That we have the opportunity before us right now to tap into that place within us of remembrance, that we remember, that we know that within us is a life force that never contradicts its own nature. It's always harmonious. It's complete within itself, meaning nothing to be added, nothing to be taken away. It exists in a state of perpetual bliss, and always acts in accord with the law of its own being. Is that happening for you in your life right now? So let's ask ourselves, how is spirit showing up in your life today? Are you aware of it? Are you tuned into it? Is it working in your favor? Are you using your spirit wisely? And if not, what would you like to do differently? And finally, do you realize today the depth of spirit that is available to you? Today, let's let this visual on the screen, this slide, be a guidepost for us as we begin to maneuver the rest of January with our theme, New Year, New Thought, New You, as well as the remainder of every element of our life before us, to remember on a daily basis that we have an opportunity to get clear on how spirit is showing up in our life and do it differently if it's not working the way we want it to get to choose to use our spirit wisely, to let the wisdom of spirit itself make itself known to us and through us, and then let that be the guide of how we show up in life. And forevermore, be open and willing to tapping into the depth of spirit that is available to us more and more and more. Holmes tells us that it's important for us to do this. He says a constant realization of the presence of spirit will provide a sense of divine companionship that no other attitude could produce. Today, let's commit to having an ongoing, constant realization of the presence of spirit, which will provide a sense of divine companionship to us that no other attitude can produce. And see then, as we play in this state of realization and companionship and contemplation, what indeed shows up. Remember, it responds to us by corresponding. Remember, it provides to us and through us a greater understanding of its infinite universal nature, of its light, as we open up to that through prayer, through meditation, through contemplation, through realization. Let's choose to let today be the day and to know what power is in our life. Let's look at this concept of what it does from a different perspective. I love Dr. David Hawkins and his map of consciousness. And from his book, The Power versus Force, he talks about what it does in a different way and how we use it and the thing itself. He says, man, meaning human, both male, female, everything in between and beyond, thinks he lives by virtue of the forces he can control, but in fact, he's governed by the power from unrevealed sources. Power of which he has no control, because power is effortless. It goes unseen and unsuspected, that divine power within us. But force is experienced through the senses. In other words, it's once it steps into or steeps into our humanity. Power can be recognized only through inner awareness. What he's telling us is that let go of our need or desire to attempt to force things in life and be receptive to the power of the infinite universal presence within us. So I ask us, how and why do we let the force have power in our lives on a daily basis? Why do we do that? Well, we do that because we have this itty bitty little thing in our mind called free will. We have free will to make choices in our life that oftentimes aligns with living in a state of force, our humanity, and not allowing our divinity to make itself known in a new way. But we also have the ability to shift that and change that. And we do that by tuning into the thoughts we choose. And ask ourselves, are our choices those of our humanity or our divinity? Our humanity, force, or divinity, the power. The power of spirit's there. It resides within us. It's waiting for us to use it in a new way. In smiling repose. And you know what? It may not be smiling, but it's still there. And so we have before us today to begin to look at our thoughts in a new way. Remembering one of my favorite quotes of all times by Gary Zukav is choice. It's the engine of evolution. If you choose to evolve consciously, then use your conscious mind. If you choose to evolve unconsciously, then live unconsciously, or allowing to let your humanity control it all. He goes, conscious evolution is far better than unconscious evolution. He goes, I know. Been there, done that. And then he reminds us, and yet I'm paraphrasing that quote, he reminds us that choice, is the second greatest gift we've been given. Second only to the gift of life itself. And so today I'm asking you, how are you using your mind? James said earlier that he's overthinking things. Are you? There's no need to overthink it because we have within us this power that'll guide us, this wisdom that'll guide us. But yet so many of us get caught into this hamster wheel of trying to make things better. I'm sure many of us have had experiences as we've lived on this crazy wheel of, has anyone seen my sunglasses? Whether it's our sunglasses or our glasses or our iPhone or our car keys or whatever it is. And we begin to live in this perpetual state of freaking out, of letting life spin around us. Getting into a high of highs of the likelihood that they're somewhere around us somewhere, or the lows of what the hell happened to them and I need them and can I find them, as opposed to surrendering to the power that is within us. But yet we choose to live in that state of force of running around the house like a chicken with its head cut off, tearing things apart, trying to live in a state of solace and awareness and acceptance that all art, literature, law, government, sunglasses, keys, iPhones are exactly where they're supposed to be, because it all already exists in and as the mind of God. And yet we live in this state oftentimes of trying to overthink life and letting all of these different elements pop into our mind, whether it's the big stuff in gratitude or relationships or our work life or our self-care, or asking, did we hand wash this? Do we have enough hygiene? Are we living in holiday drama, or how should we split this bill in life at a restaurant, or do I have enough money to take care of myself? And all of this chaos that we allow ourselves to live in, whether it's momentary or a way of life, will show up in our lives because that's the nature of life itself. And so today, let's choose to clean our mind of any attachment that we have, floss out all that dust and debris of old thinking, of living in a state of force, and open ourselves up to a clean, clear mind of living from a place of power, living from a place of trusting and knowing that all is well in the world, our world, because we choose to live from a place of allowing our divinity to be a reflection of the choices that we're making, because we're choosing thoughts that are reflective of our divinity. It tells us on the screen that your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with positive or life-affirming or divinely reflective thoughts, your life will start to change. And the moment that it can start to change is right now. Simply by opening up and allowing ourselves to know that all is well, to know that we have wisdom within us, to know that we are perfect, that we are whole, that we are complete, that those aren't just catchphrases, that it's a spiritual truth that is waiting to be acknowledged, and that acknowledgement comes through our thoughts, through our actions, through our statements, through our shifts in beliefs. Remember that our mind is like water. When it's agitated, it becomes difficult to see, but when you let it settle, as we spoke of earlier in the song Letting It Be by the Beatles, the answer becomes clear. Why is that? It's because clarity of mind is our natural state. And so, let's let that clarity make itself known to us right now. And remember that this power that is animated by spirit responds to all alike. It's impersonal, and yet it feels very personal when our experience of it is reflective of its innate nature. And that's a result of how we participate in it, not really how it participates with us. And so, today, let's know this in honoring Ernest Holmes in this birthday week of his, and allow this affirmation and statement that he made to ring true for all of us. And it's this: here and now, we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. Well, how much of this infinite good is ours? All of it. And how much of it may we have to use? As much as we can embody. That embodiment takes place as we allow it to reveal itself through us, as we allow it to make itself known into and as us, as we allow ourselves to live in a state of clarity through purpose and determination and decision, as we choose thoughts that reflect our nature of peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom, as we move forward knowing that our divinity is such a cherished, treasured element of who we are. And so today is the day that we choose to tune into it in a new way. Ernest tells us to remember that you are one with the mind of God, the thing itself. It's how he starts the very book, The Science of Mind. Spirit, that which we spoke of today, causation, life itself. That there is that within each and every individual, meaning you and me, and all expressions, all sentient beings, which partakes of the nature of the universe, of universal wholeness, and so far as it operates, it is this power we call God. Since it is what it is and works in the way it works, it appears through the individual through their belief. And so let's remember, it's done unto each of us as we believe. What belief are you willing to know today? Are you willing to open up and to know and accept that you are more than you appear to be? That life is greater than you've ever known it. and the best is yet to come. Meaning that it's not about experiences, it's about awareness. Today is the day to refine, to align our choices with the only thing there is, the thing itself. Let it do its thing through you, unencumbered. Don't overthink it. Settle in, allow, and celebrate you. For it's made a stamp out in the universe on you. You're it, and it's you. And so it is. Thank you so very much. And I'm celebrating the one and only Donald James Harper, who will come back on the screen and continue for us.
It is just crazy how your messages line up with what I'm feeling. And today was in particular, I really needed to hear that. So
Good. Well, that's the way it works.
thank you for that. And now I can truly say I can see clearly now. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone all the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, oh bright, sunshiny day, yeah. It's gonna be a bright, oh bright, sunshiny day. Think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow that I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, oh bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, it's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, it's nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way, yeah. Gone all the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, oh bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, oh bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, oh bright, sunshiny day.
And that it is. As I look out the windows, my dirty windows from the rain, it is a bright, sunshiny day, at least here in the land of Southern California, Los Angeles. I can see as the light is streaming through behind you, it's a bright, sunshiny day. And so we're talking of that both in a physical sense, but also a metaphorical, metaphysical sense. And a bright, sunny, sunshiny day is a result of how we use our mind, right?
And so it is.
Great. Fabulous. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now, everyone, as we continue on in our service, and an acknowledgement and a thank you for being here, I'm going to give us all the opportunity, as I put on the screen, the methods and the way to support our community financially. As we kick off into this new year, I want each and every one of you to know how appreciative we are of your support, and also want to let you know that it is an important element of the growth of this community, your financial support. And so know that as we all each participate in giving of our good through conscious giving, that the universe responds as it returns to us each multiplied abundantly. And so as I put on the screen the way to do that, then we will each see that, and then James will take us through our conscious giving song in just a moment. The methods to do that are you go to our website, csl-la.org, and click on donate. You can go to the app in our app store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and click on the upper left bars, and the screen will come up and you can see the donate tab. Both of the website and our app is a great resource for information about who we are. You can mail in a check. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038, or my phone number is on the screen and you can call me if you'd like to do that. Once again, all these options are on our website and our weekly e-newsletter. Want to know that we say thank you in advance, and James will come on and take us through our conscious giving song.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, the source will show me how. Love is my decision, right here, right now. Yeah.
And so I affirm for each of us that as we consciously give and stay in the flow of good, that it does indeed return to us multiplied abundantly. That we live in the blessings of life as they flow through us. That we understand in a new way today that Spirit responds to us by corresponding. Therefore, as we reflect the nature of nature and choose to give, it's not done so out of guilt or need or requirement. It's done so out of an understanding of the laws and the nature of the universe. And so we celebrate this new understanding, this new conscious participation, this new awakened awareness of ourselves as divine beings and our role that we play in the co-creative nature of life itself. All is well, and so it is. I'm going to throw up on the screen now an announcement about our weekly midweek morning meditation that takes place Wednesday mornings at 8:30 a.m. Just a reminder that if you want to align with the principles and the philosophy and faiths of this teaching, this is a great way to do that. It's 8:30 to 9 o'clock every Wednesday morning. Do that through Zoom. You can get all of that information on our website. It's on the screen, and or through our weekly e-newsletter that goes out the first part of the week, and avail yourself to that as well. If you'd like to listen to some of the ones from the past, they're on our YouTube channel, and you can get those as well. I'm noticing that I'm very dark now on screen. That's because I need to close the blinds out there, but I'm not going to close the blinds. We're going to complete as we are. I want to make sure that you're all getting our daily text that goes out each morning at 7:30. Feel free to sign up for those if you're not, or pass them along. It's a text that goes out every morning at 7:30. That's a reminder to who and what we are. I'll share the one from today with you. So if you're not getting it, you'd like to receive it or have others do that, you can do that as well. It stated this: the divine incarnation is inherent in our nature. We are immersed in an infinite knowingness. The question is, how much of this reality are we going to express in our own lives? Ernest Holmes. I then finished it with saying, today, let's choose to be open to consciously and purposefully express more of the divine that is within each of us. Once again, you can sign up for those through our website and or our app. Stay tuned on classes. Once I get the book in my hand, I will get those dates nailed down and we'll get ready for the next class that's going to kick off. I'm really looking forward to it. It's based on a book called E Squared. It's 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality, much like we talked about today of what it does. A big thank you to Donald James Harper for being here today as our musical guest. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience it is to have James with us each time that he's here. A big thank you to Travis Smith today, who did double task today, not only as our audio engineer, but video and managing Facebook, while Travis is off on an assignment, not Travis, but Robert is off on an assignment somewhere. A big thank you to each of you for being here today. I celebrate you just as you are, as being a being of the divine. Know that we love having you here within our virtual home, as well as if you watch that at a later date. If you're here for the first time, know that you're celebrated and honored and acknowledged for who you are as the stamp of individuality, and we're each appreciative that you're walking this earth sharing your divine nature. For those of you that are repeat CSL people, know that you're loved and celebrated as well, just as you are, and we will continue to be who we are in this format until we have the option to do something different. If you're joining us by Facebook Live, I'll back up for a second. I'm going to close us out with a meditation and affirmative prayer in just a moment. After that, we'll say goodbye to those that are joining us through Facebook Live, and those that are on Zoom will have a brief moment to say hello, and then we will say goodbye and go about our business. And so without further ado, get some music going. Ready to take a deep breath in. And let's know together that the power and the presence of the divine is making itself known to and through each and every one of us right now. That we open to this influx of spirit, the absolute, the self-knowing, the power that it does its thing through animating itself as each one of us. As we intentionally align ourselves with its innate qualities right now. We begin to feel and see and experience more and more of its presence. That's a result of our alignment with it. And so moving forward into this next step of our journey in life today, I affirm for each of us, this is the framework of mind that we stay in and evolve and grow from. And should there be moments of forget or doubt or behaviors that do not align with our innate divine nature, we take a deep breath in. We exhale and forgive ourselves and start anew. Choosing to let the simplicity of thought of I am that I am that I am. The perfection and the wholeness and the completeness of the divine is making itself known by means of me, meaning by means of each one of us right now. And so the law responds by corresponding, and for that we're so deeply grateful. Growing, evolving, and allowing the flow of spirit itself to be more expansive than ever before. This is good and very good, and we are good in it. And that's the way it is right now. And so it is right now. May you each have a blessed day, a blessed week, and continue to know who you are as divine beings, and to let that knowledge, that wisdom, that energy out to play more and more and more. Thank you for being here. Have a great day.